This breaking news tonight at 7. One of our region's most notorious serial killers is reportedly entering end-of-life care. That's Gary Ridgway, terrorized the Seattle area throughout the 1980s and 1990s.
And this is a list of his known victims posted by investigators in King County. He targeted vulnerable girls and women. At least 48 murders are linked to Ridgway. Now, some women are still missing and others have not been identified. Thanks for joining us. I'm Monique Minglavin.
And I'm Gary Horker. Now, take a look at this 20-year change over time. The last time we reported on Gary Ridgway, the King County Jail held him for 5 days in 2024. We'll get to more on why that happened in a minute.
We have breaking team coverage right now, looking back on Ridgway's convictions. First, let's get to KIRO 7's Jake Chapman, who spoke with the reporter who broke this story today. Jake, we're hearing conflicting reports from the Department of Corrections about his health.
That's exactly right, Monique and Gary. According to the Department of Corrections, these reports about Ridgway's health are, quote, inaccurate, and nothing has changed when it comes to his health in recent years. But the person we spoke with at the KIRO radio told me there are 5 sources who are incredibly close to this case that are telling us that Ridgway is entering near-life stages at a Washington state prison. Now, Charlie Harker with KIRO radio tells me his sources would not get into specifics on Ridgway's exact condition, but says they are all very close to this case. He's also spoken with victims' families over the years on how painful all of this has been. He's also spoken with the Green River Killer himself several times, and he tells me when he heard the lack of emotion in his voice when describing these murders, he says it still haunts him to this day.
And for him, logically, which makes no sense to anyone else, logically to him, he believes that's a stress release. He is trying to get back at an ex-wife. These families have gone through absolute hell, some of them for more than 40 years now.
And part of Ridgway's plea deal, helping him avoid the death penalty, involved leading investigators to remote graves of victims that were still not found. In fact, that's why investigators told us that he was here at the King County Jail last year because he had information about new victims. But sadly, investigators came up empty-handed in those searches. But all of this got us wondering, what exactly are prisoners' rights when it comes to medical care? We hope to have that story for you tonight at 11. Live in Seattle, Jake Chapman, KIRO 7 News.
Meanwhile, Eric Thomas here at the live desk. Of course, we've been documenting the investigation into Gary Ridgway for decades. Seattle FBI saying the serial killer began targeting victims back in July of 1982. That's when 2 boys found the body of a 16-year-old floating in the Green River. 5 more women, young women, were found along a 1-mile stretch of that river as Ridgway would continue his spree. He wasn't arrested until November 30th, 2001, after police found his DNA on one of the victims. In 2003, he agreed to a plea deal, admitting to dozens of murders, and in return, prosecutors not seeking the death penalty. But just last year, he was brought back to King County Jail with hopes that he would point the way to more remains.
I think everybody knows that Gary Ridgway will die in prison, but trying to find the resolution for those victims' families and do as much as investigators and prosecutors can while he's still here is important.
Now, Casey McNerthy says then prosecutor Norm Malang made the controversial decision sparing Ridgway from the death penalty. At the live desk, I'm Eric Thomas.